Section 1. Introduction and A. Who was who, 5000 BC to 1914. Edited by Irwin L. Gordon. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Who was who, 5000 BC to date. Biographical Dictionary of the Famous and Those Who Wanted to Be. Edited by Irwin L. Gordon. Note: the editor begs leave to inform the public that only persons who can produce proper evidence of their demise will be admitted to Who Was Who. Press agent notices or complimentary comments are absolutely excluded, and those offering to pay for the insertion of names will be prosecuted. As persons become eligible, they will be included without solicitation, while the pages will be expurgated of others, should good luck warrant.
Who Was Who contained over 500 biographies of those who did or endeavoured to become famous. In a work of such magnitude, errors occasionally occur. Should this be the case, the editor will be glad to receive corrections from the ex-celebrities or their enemies. These will be accepted gratis. Proofs will be sent to all subscribers. Members of the family will be able to order the coming editions in advance by applying and remitting to the publisher.
The work is fully protected by the libel laws of the United States and Great Britain. Under no circumstances will duels be fought. The editor wishes to express his thanks to those who have furnished material for this book. He also trusts that they will show their good feeling by purchasing a copy, and that all the unfortunates will speedily be returned to Who's Who. The Editor.
Abbreviations. A1. Can open charge account. AB. 4 years hard sentence. AM. When we get up. CIT. Common people. COD. No credit. CONG. A Washington organization used for social and investigation purposes. DD. Be careful of your jokes.
Dem. Politicians who get in office once in a while. DH. Pull. DT. Delirium tremens. ETS. The rest of us. FRA. Brains. FRGS. People who do not stay at home. GOP. Hit jacket. ON. Speaker of the occasion.
HRH. Chief Advertiser for Cigarettes, Mustard and Kid Gloves. I. Roosevelt. INCOG. Prominent Men in Paris. IOU. Hard Luck. IRE. Mother of Politicians.
LLD. American Millionaires. MP. Home Rule Debaters. PARL. Where MPs debate. PM. When we go to bed. RA. Any kind of a painter but a cubist. REP. CGOP. RIP. See following pages. Sir. Writers and tea merchants. USA. Bryan and Wilson.
Obituary. Brian William Jennings of USA. Canon Joseph G. of U.S. Congress. Castro Cipriano of Venezuela Asphalt Trust. Cavalieri Lena of Paris and New York City. Cook Dr. Fred A. of New York City and Denmark. Dewey George E. of USN. Diaz Porfirio of Mexico. Din Gunga of Kipling. Dreyfus Captain of France. Fallières Armand of the French Republic.
Gorky Maxim of Russia. Hafid Malai of Morocco, Hamid Abdul of Turkey, Hammerstein Oscar of New York City and London, Holmes Sherlock of Doyle, Huerta V. General of Mexico, Irish Home Rule of Ireland and London, Johnson Jack of USA, Lloyd George David of England, Manuel King of Portugal, Pankhurst Mrs. of England.
Adelina Pawley of Wales, Frederick S. Roberts of Kandahar, Admiral Rozhestvensky of Russia, Theodore Roosevelt of The Outlook, Ernest Shackleton of England, Morgan Schuster of Persia, William Sulzer of Tammany Fall, William Howard Taft of Cincinnati, USA, Father Time of Everywhere, Turkey, Mary Widow of Paris, London, and New York City. Biographies. A. Adam, last name unknown, ancestor, explorer, gardener, and inaugurator of history. Biographers differ as to his parentage. Born first Saturday of year. Little is known of his childhood. Education. Self-educated. Entered the gardening and orchard business when a young man. Was a strong anti-polygamist. Married Eve, a close relative. Children, Cain and Abel. See them. Was prosperous for some years, but eventually fell prey to his wife's fruitful ambitions. Lost favor of the proprietor of the garden, and failed in business. Adam started a number of things which have not been perfective. Diet, fond of apples. Recreation, chess, agriculture. Address, Eden, general delivery. Clubs, member of all exclusive clubs. Editor's note: Adam should not be first, but he is given that position out of respect.
Abel, son of the above, spent early days in the Garden of Eden with his parents, and later travelled with them. Conducted a sheep-raising business. Finally had a row with his brother and was knocked out in the first round.
Abraham, a patriarch whose descendants now own New York City, Jerusalem, vast sections of the remainder of the globe, and control the pawnbroking, diamond, theatrical, and old clothing markets. Camel and sheep merchant, considerable land was willed him. Abraham prospered, married Sarah, last name unknown. Marital infelicity followed, Abraham having an affair with Mrs. Abraham's maid. The woman was discharged, and the family lived happily ever afterward. Ambition, the chosen people. Recreation, riding, tennis, camel riding. Address, Canaan. Clubs, country.
Abruzzi, Prince Luigi Amido Giuseppe Maria Fernando Francesco of the Italian nobility. Spent the greater portion of his life taking care of his name, climbing mountains, fighting Turks, and denying rumors regarding his marriage.
Achilles, first name unknown, a baby whose mother gave him a bath but forgot to wash all of his feet. Later was veteran of the siege of Troy. Died before receiving pension.
Aesop, novelist, nature faker. Little is known of his childhood except that he was fond of dogs and played with the cat. Later he made animals his life's study. Aesop discovered the zoological principle that a turtle can run faster than a rabbit, and that foxes never eat sour grapes. Publications, Fables. The book has had a good sale. Address, Greece. Clubs, zoological societies.
Aladdin of somewhere. An ancient who possessed a lamp and a genie with which he could secure anything an American millionaire or actress can now purchase.
Aldrich, Senator, N.W. Architect of the Aldrich Plan, a system for removing the financial interests of the country from the common people and placing them in the hands of the few.
Alfonso XIII, a king who enjoyed Paris without losing his job.
Amundsen, Captain Rold, another pole discoverer. Away back in the year 1912, he reached the South Pole after a considerable journey through the Arctic regions. Like his predecessors, he became an author and lecturer. Publications: The South Pole. Price £2 20 in England, $10.50 in the U.S. Later, Amundsen retired and lived on his royalty. Ambition: a few more poles, a few more books.
Ananias, see Dr. Cook and Roosevelt.
Anderson, Mary, actress, one of the wisest women who ever lived. In the height of a brilliant stage career, she fell in love, and decided that a quiet home with a husband and children was more to be desired than the empty plaudits of the crowd, and the attentions of stage-door Johnnies.
Angelo, Mike, painter and sculptor of no mean ability, born in Italy but named after Irish relatives. At school he showed his talents by making cartoons of the teachers. These were unappreciated. Moved to Florence, where he bought some chisels, brushes, and saw his first model. Angelo remained a bachelor. Later he moved to Rome and began a brilliant church decorating career. Secured permission of the Pope to give an exhibition in the Vatican. This was finally made permanent. Also made a fortune erecting tombstones for the Medici family, leading politicians of his time. It is difficult to leave Italy without seeing much of his work. Angelo never favored the Cubists or Post-Impressionists. Recreations: painting, sculpture. Address: Rome.
Anthony, Saint, of Padua, an Italian who visited Paris and could not forget what he saw.
Antoinette Marie, wife of Louis No. 15, who assisted her husband to spend the French taxes, was also a practical joker, her humor terminating at Versailles when she advised the mob to eat cake during a bread famine. Her wit was unappreciated. Ambition: anything but October 16, 1791. Recreation: Versailles, looking through a grated window. Address: Versailles. Later, Conciergerie, Paris.
Apollo, a handsome ancient who fell in love, posed for his statues, patronized music and poetry, and finally had a table water named in his honor. Career: see longer and less respectable biographies. Apollo was the first person to sing to the accompaniment of a musical instrument, but he was a good singer. Ambition: Paris. Recreation: music, travel, archery. Address: Greece. Clubs: athletic, musical.
Arc, Joan of, celebrated French suffragette. Spent girlhood milking cows and embroidering. When the English ministry began operations in France, Jay dropped her embroidery in the milk bucket and began suffragetting. She did not break windows or blow up anything. Gathered a host of males about her and captured towns. English exited, Jay went back to the cow, but again had to take to the armour. She was finally jailed and burnt by the radical ministry. She burned an old maid. Recreation: barn dancers, churning, clubs, Orleans, suffragette.
Aristotle introduced brains into Greece.
Armour, a Chicago family who keep the world supplied with meat and themselves out of the government jails.
Arnold, Benedict, a man who sent his name down through history with a bad odour attached to it.
Arthur, king, a very dead English sovereign who manufactured the Round Table and did all the things a good English king should do. Little is known of his Prince of Waleshood. Was crowned in Westminster Abbey, but without the American contingent. Became proficient as a knight. Stayed away from the palace so much his queen began flirting. Al's sword was a wonder. Press agent, Lord Tennyson. Recreation, Grayling. Address, Windsor, Buckingham.
Asquith, Herbert Henry, an Englishman who helped run things in his country before 1908 and who ran things after 1908. Was also a favorite rallying point for suffragettes. Led a successful wing-dipping expedition against some of his countrymen who held titles to names and property. Also juggled dynamite in Parliament. See Lloyd George. Ambition, women without ambitions. Recreation, dodging, golf. Address, constantly in danger of a change. Clubs favored, radical.
Atkins Thomas, celebrated red coat-wearing dandy who flirts with nurses and cooks, spends his time boasting about South Africa and the USA, posing for motion pictures and exhibiting royalty. Authorities differ as to his marksmanship, although it is now conceded he can often hit a man-sized target at the distance of 4 feet 3 inches. Whether, however, must be clear. Is an authority on creases, backbone, accent, and tea. Beverage, everything. Recreation, jacks. Collecting stamps. Kipling, blind man's buff. Parlour tricks. Maypole festivities. Ambition, tortoise-shell monocles. Camp manicurists. Pocket bathtubs. And restoration of the tea canteen. Epitaph, see Emperor William.
Atlas, a man who held up the heavens and was not even a preacher, edited a huge book which bears his name.
Aurelius Marcus, one of the few Romans who is not remembered for crossing a river, for being murdered, for murdering somebody, for making speeches, or building triumphant arches or ruins. End of section 1. Introduction and A.